In many ways, All Will Be One has sort of crept under the radar because we've had a downward turn in power creep. Magic the Gathering is cyclical in many ways. We normally have high peaks of power level where things are broken as shit, and then we have troughs where they adjust and peel back. That's always been the case. But in the modern landscape where fire design has laid waste to many a format with ridiculous things being put in Modern Horizons, and everything from basically War of the Spark right through to... where did it stop? After Throne of Eldraine, after Ikoria, I'm not sure exactly where it stopped, but we've had a period now of sets not being very powerful. All Will Be One marks an upward shift. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the cards that are making waves in other formats and some of the interesting things people are doing with them. Some of these cards haven't settled into their decks yet, other ones are already putting up results. So I thought I'd just share some stuff that I've been observing and that I've been playing with this week. Don't forget, if you're looking to pick up cards, sealed product or singles, use the link in the description below to coolstuffinc.com to get 5% off your order and help support the show. And don't forget, if you want to get £10 of credit on Whatnot, there's a link in the description below to sign up through my invite link, get £10 of credit to get some boosters for free, and also follow me because I'm doing a once a month AMA stream on the Whatnot. It's going to be the 23rd of February. I'll see you there. First up, let's talk about Attractor. I've got some sneak and show, some show and tell gameplay with Attractor coming up probably on Monday on the channel. Attractor is now basically power creeping out Griselbrand. Where Griselbrand used to be an 8 mana 7/7 that draws you 7 cards when you pay 7 life, Attractor is a 7 mana 7/7 that has flying and vigilance and trample as well. And not trample, sorry, has death touch. And when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 10 cards of your library and you get to pick, well, cards from among permanent types from there. 1 of each permanent. Usually this means you look at 10 cards and you draw between 5 and 7 depending on how your deck is constructed. A land, a sorcery, an instant, a creature, or an artifact is normally your normal hits, perhaps an enchantment as well. What this means that you can refill your hand in decks like Show and Tell or Reanimator without actually having to pay 7 life, which is great against aggro. Beyond that, you can also natural order into it as well because it's green and it's pitchable to all the relevant pitch spells. All of the elementals barring Fury and to Force of Will and Legacy as well. Attractor is proving so good that even Neoform decks apparently are playing it too, although I haven't seen them myself yet, and Oath of Druids in Vintage is also playing it because the card advantage is real. I never thought I'd see the day that Griselbrand was power crept out of Magic. Emrakul still holds the crown as the biggest scary fatty beater, I guess, but Griselbrand is not the king of card advantage and the skies anymore. I'm pretty sure I'll be casting Resolving or Cheating Attractors into play for quite some time in the future across multiple decks on the channel. What you've got to bear in mind is it's not really comparable to Niv Mizzet Reborn, the 5 mana card advantage engine from those mid-range decks. It's more a card you cheat out. You can neoform it in Elves if you wanted to. There are people neoforming into it in Maverick style shells and Legacy. This card is going to be seeing a lot of play, and I wonder if at some point it might even see a ban in some format somewhere. Don't forget, Griselbrand outside of Commander never got a ban anywhere, so I guess we'll wait and see. Next up is Venerated Rock Priest, which is allowing for turn 2 kills in Modern with nut draws and turn 3 kills in Standard and Pioneer with nut draws. The card is a fine sideboard card for your traditional Infect decks as a way to get extra mileage against removal spells. But if you go for a more linear, focused glass cannon combo deck, you can kill people just by storming off and hitting it with Ground Surge. I put some gameplay of this out on the channel this week. I'll be linked in the description below as well if you want to see how it plays. Maybe the glass cannon version just isn't as good as regular Infect in terms of being resilient to the opponent's game plan. Perhaps this will see more play in just Infect in general, but it's really cool to see the poison win condition have an alternative way to play, which is essentially a storm deck. Then we've got Jace. Yep, I said Jace was absolute garbage, complete and utter dog shit during previous season, and I was wrong. The card is legitimately quite a good card for the Modern Mill deck. It has a good impression of Fraying Sanity and that card that draws you 3 when they've got Visions of Beyond. That's the one. The problem is that Mill is not a good deck. I played it today. I was trying to make a video on it, and I just played into 3 different decks in one league that were all main decking Endurances. We beat the one that was only main decking 1, but the other 2 had 3 main deck. It was wild. Maybe I just got incredibly unlucky piling into these decks that are playing fucking Endurances, but I just feel like the format is kind of hostile to this. Murktide isn't great because you enable it. I played against the deck which is playing that new 8 mana or 6 mana creature that's cost reduced with 9 cards in your bin. So basically, yeah, I played into all decks that all wanted to be milled or could just reset the mill with Endurance. It was miserable. The deck felt very badly positioned considering what I played against today in Modern. It's anecdotal, I know, but whilst Jace is good in the mill deck, that doesn't make the mill deck good, no matter how fun it can be when it goes off. Mycosynth Gardens is probably the biggest contender on this list other than Attractor for making waves in formats and just being perpetually seen in mana bases forevermore. In Legacy and Vintage, Legacy primarily, this is an LED copier. Any deck playing Lion's Eye Diamond will want a copy of this land to be able to become a second LED for the combo turn. So we're talking any Storm deck that plays Lion's Eye Diamond essentially. Beyond that, it's also allowed people to start playing Gyruda again. Gyruda was a combo deck in Legacy prior to the errata making companions cost 3 more, and now it can be played again because you can get around the 3 mana by having a Lion's Eye Diamond in play and copying it with this. So you easily get to 9 mana now to put Gyruda to hand, to play Gyruda and to start comboing off. Is it just a meme? Probably. But it's interesting that there's one land has made her at least playable again. In Modern though, the land has been copying amulets. Amulet Titan has always been a very strong force in Modern. There's been times when I really don't think it was a good force to have in Modern. And the turns that have double amulet are turns where the deck just goes fucking wild. Double untapping. For those that don't know, if there's 2 amulets in play, you get to untap a Karoo twice. It enters the battlefield and triggers to untap. You tap it after the first one resolves and untaps again. So there are turns where you copy your own amulet with this land and just go absolutely wild. And bear in mind the land is then shootable off of Titan and off of Expedition map as well. It's very, very good in Amulet Titan. Mercurial Spelldancer is seeing a bit of play in blue-black mid-range and tempo decks in Legacy. You can double your Ponders and you can double your Thought Seizers by casting spells and hitting people with it because it can't be blocked. Taking some oil counters off of this and casting a Thoughtseize makes Thoughtseize a better hint to rock, and it can be absolutely backbreaking. I don't know if this is going to be a mainstay of the format, but it's cool to see it seeing play. Taiwar is showing up in Legacy Maverick decks and Elves decks across multiple formats, primarily for 2 reasons. One, it can make dorks just be activatable immediately, allowing you to shit out your hand and activate things like Stoneforge Mystics, Knights of the Reliquary, and more importantly, Mana Dorks on the turn they come in. It makes Devoted Druid tap for 4 mana on the turn you play it, because you can tap it twice and then reanimate it with Taivar's second ability and tap it again. And of course, it untaps stuff too. So if you were playing, there's a deck I saw in Enchantress in Modern on Goldfish earlier that is using this to untap the Enchantress Mana Dork and activate it twice on the turn you cast it to make a shit ton of mana and maybe, just maybe, cast an Emrakul. This is an absolute powerhouse that you'll be seeing in Elves decks and other similar Dork-centric decks for years to come. And then Elish Norn, weirdly showing up as a one-of in some Elemental decks in Modern, but it's mainly a commander card. And I guess the other honourable mention is going to be Ikamoon Gauntlet. Its price is climbing mainly because of Super Friends decks in Commander. A few other mentions for fringe things before we finish off the video. Gleeful Demolition has been like an extra copy of Cold Oath of Rebirth in some mono-red and red-white variants of the old Cold Oath of Rebirth deck, an aggressive deck looking to blow up your own artifacts to make a load of goblins and then bushwhack people. A cyborg card that hasn't really found a home yet, but I'm almost certain it will, is Soulless Jailer, but I can't say I've seen it in any lists so far. But as a 2-mana utility dork that messes with both graveyards and exile, I'm almost certain this will be playable somewhere. And then 2 more cards I've come across recently. Minor Misstep hit one of my 1-drops in Modern the other day. I think perhaps people are trying it out because of, you know, it's the allusion to Mental Misstep, a card that is banned in many a format. I don't know if this will stick around, but it might be something you see come in and out depending on how meta games adjust in things like Modern and Legacy. And I did get absolutely smashed by Capricious Hellraiser in a boom bust red-white sort of like combo deck where Capricious Hellraiser does the same thing that, well, I say same thing, it's a good finisher when you're filling your yard full of shit. And that's my little summary of the cards that are making big waves. Have I missed one? Let me know in the comment section below if there's a card or a deck using a card that you think I'd be interested in and I want to play or at least talk about on the channel. I've been Vince, or PleasantKenobi on the internet. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.